Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Thursday night. Hope everybody's having a great one and hope you're ready to get into a discussion about the Tennessee Titans schedule release. We now have all of the dates, the times, the broadcast schedule for the 2022 Tennessee Titans. It's very exciting stuff, and we're happy to have you guys in for this evening show. I know you guys are excited about it because this is one of the first major steps towards football season being back on our doorstep. So we're going to go through the schedule tonight, the highs, the lows, and everything in between, the kind of quirks that this thing has. We'll talk about revenge tours and what may be available to you for the Tennessee Titans to get in on some really exciting games. It's a fun schedule. It's a first place schedule for certain. And by no means does this year guarantee that they're going to be able to walk into the postseason as easily as they have in the last two seasons. So we'll discuss all of the different things about this new 17-game NFL regular season schedule throughout the course of tonight's show. Before we get started, though, I would ask you to do us a courtesy and to share this show around. If you're on Facebook Live, please retweet the show or please share the show. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, please subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel, where you get our live stream content, schedule talk, and everything else in between 7 days a week. And if you're on YouTube, if you would please do us the kindness of liking this video, that helps us grow this show among the YouTube audience. And we certainly want to invite everybody across all the social platforms that we are live streaming on to participate in what we get to do here on the A to Z Sports Network. Now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and get this show started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Thursday. If you're new to the show, I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford is where you go for quality American-made Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Buddy Allen Carpet One has the full-service flooring operation that you need to succeed. BuddyAllenCarpet1.com or their storefront in Donaldson. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Gary Ashton, the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Titans, and of me on A to Z Sports Prime Time. And tonight, Tennessee tickets. You can get your Tennessee Titans 2022 tickets at TennesseeTickets.com. No hidden fees. So, we now have the full 17-game schedule, and for all of it, in fact, honestly, Reed, it might be helpful if you pull the Titans schedule graphic so that we can throw it up on the screen for people. I wish I would have thought of that beforehand, but unfortunately for Reed, I did not. So, Reed, if you could put that in my database so we could throw that up for people, I think that would be great. There's a lot of different nuances to this deal to go through. For example, we know who the opponents are. We knew who the road opponents and the home opponents are going to be. But now the Titans have seven total games against playoff teams from last year. They play 5 division champions from 2021. They've got home games against Cincinnati and Dallas. They go on the road to play Buffalo, Kansas City, and Green Bay. All 3 of those games, by the way, in primetime, as well as the Dallas game, which is going to be interesting. Now, when we talked about the amount of primetime games that we thought the Titans may get, I told you two or three was the most likely scenario. Now they have gotten 4 out of this, only 1 at home, which is an interesting portion of this, and 2 of them are on Amazon Prime, so they're not being broadcast in the conventional sense, right? They are national games, but they're not nationally televised games, if that makes any sense. They're live stream games, but still, this is the kind of thing that teams like the Titans are going to see more of if you don't rate well on television. Well, what are we going to do with you? We're going to throw you on Amazon Prime because that's the place where networks don't have to worry about television ratings, and Amazon can try and, make its way in with a quality game, but not necessarily the numbers that it will draw if they were to put the Packers and the Cowboys in a game on Sunday Night Football on NBC or something like that, right? So a lot of really A lot of really, really good games. Buck, you owe someone $20. No, I don't, because he bet me 5. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the person. I should have written it down. But no, he had said 5. He guaranteed 5 primetime games. He bet $20 on the idea that there would be 5 Titans primetime games, and he was closer than I thought he would be, but 4 certainly, and 2 on a digital streaming platform as opposed to the conventional television, national television broadcast. It doesn't matter, right? Because the Titans are going to have a lot of different things that they have to navigate. There's as few noon games as I can remember being on a Titan schedule, and frankly, I'm grateful for that. Right, 325 games and 4 primetime games are way, way better than a bunch of noon games, especially here in Middle Tennessee, especially in the early going in September and October, if you're going to play them at Nissan Stadium, where it is just scorching hot with no protection from the elements in the early part of the Titans season. So as you look at this, we talked about the playoff opponents who they're going to have. You've got 2 contests against teams that qualified for the wild card. You've got Vegas coming here to Nashville and playing at Philadelphia, when, of course, they will be able to, in theory, play against A.J. Brown. We'll see who is available, who is not available for that game. 4 primetime appearances, as we mentioned, and they have won. They have a pretty good record in primetime, as a matter of fact. 5 of their last 7 games on a national stage, the Tennessee Titans have won, and 2 of these being played on Thursday night. It's the first time in franchise history that's happened. That's against 2 NFC opponents, the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. So no Thursday night football against the Jags. The early bye is less than ideal, but we can work through all of these things together. Let's start with your Two Rivers Ford take, if we can, on this Thursday evening. What do you like about the Titans schedule? Just give me your general thoughts, your general positive opinions. We'll do the negative as well, because there are some things that do not set up necessarily great for Tennessee, but this is the case for every team anytime the schedule is released. Your Two Rivers Ford take, what do you like just generally about what you see from this Titans schedule that was released tonight? We will discuss at length together. While you guys give me your answers, I will tell you about the people who make the Two Rivers Ford take possible. That is Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford has not just the Built For You program that allows you to customize any new Ford, any color that you like, and any customizable accessories, but they also have one of the state's largest selection of certified pre-owned Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford has been doing business in Middle Tennessee since 1983, and they have prided themselves on quality customer service, award-winning customer service, as a matter of fact, for nearly 40 years. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com. So, Randy says, glad we got the 4 games. Still feels like a kick in the groin. The teams we mollywopped last year got 5. Well, I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked at other teams' schedules, really. I've just been trying to, I've been trying to book up my schedule, because now that I have my schedule in front of me for the football season, I can start to book my flights. I can figure out, okay, am I going to be able to make my college roommate's wedding in the first week of September? Turns out that I will. I'm going to have to fly back from Chicago to Nashville before that 3:25 kickoff against the Giants in week 1. But like for me, it's about, okay, can my life not be held hostage by this thing anymore, right? Because my girlfriend wants to plan vacation. I have to plan out my road schedule, because obviously I travel to all the road games for the Titans, and there's a lot there that needs to get done. But so as far as the other teams that who may have got 5 primetime games, I don't get bent out of shape. You're not used to having many more primetime games beyond a Thursday night football game against the Jags. So 4 games is a big deal for a team like Tennessee that's trying to get their brand out there more nationally, and has historically, at least in the last 5 of the last 7, performed well in these primetime games. We'll throw the schedule up on the screen for you. Thank you, producer Reed, for being able to put that together. A little stretched across the screen, but you can read it for the most part. So you see it there. You open at the New York Giants, a 3:25 kickoff on Fox. We talked about the Monday Night Football game against Buffalo. Las Vegas, at Indy, at Washington, and then a very, very early bye. You get both Colts games out of the way before even Halloween this year. The October 23rd game will be the last time that you see the Colts unless they make the playoffs, and that, however it works out, you would, if you play the Colts in the playoffs, then you would see them later in the season, obviously. But those two critical games will be done before we even get to November. Sunday Night Football at Kansas City, Denver here in Nashville, and then at Green Bay for a Thursday night game. On Prime, you get a revenge game against Cincinnati and Philadelphia. Then, of course, Jacksonville at the LA Chargers, which I love a trip to Los Angeles in the middle of December. That'll make me very happy. And Houston, Dallas, and at Jacksonville to close out the regular season for Tennessee. Prime preseason games, not that anybody's too invested in those, but at Baltimore is where they will start. So played 17 games too last year, more than I could say for other players. He will bounce back, says Leo. I don't know who Leo's talking about specifically. Alex Blaines Man says, Buck, I'm sorry, but you guys have too many sponsor ads. I'm not going to do this again today, Alex. The show is free. The sponsors are what makes the show free for you. If you don't like the fact that the show is free for you and that you have to hear about all the people who make it free for you, just Alex, honestly, that's the way that it's done. It's done that way on radio. It's done that way on primetime. I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it, because if you don't understand how our business works at this point, I literally can do nothing for you. In fact, don't ever tell me that we have too many sponsors, because that means that this show is making a tremendous amount of money for the A to Z Sports Media Network, and that makes me very happy. So more sponsors as far as I'm concerned, and less bitching about the people who make the show free for you. Forgive me, Alex. I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the idea that gets brought up on such a regular basis, as if this isn't the way that we've been doing this shit for 100 years in sports media. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that tonight. When we're looking at the rest of the schedule at this point, what do you like about the way that this thing turned out? And as I look at the schedule in front of us, I love the amount of 325 kicks as opposed to the noon games. I love how competitive of a schedule it is. This is not an easy one. Buffalo is a big game. That's right out the gate in week 2. Las Vegas with the new look Raiders, Devontae Adams. Both of the Colts games, as we mentioned. Denver coming to Nashville with Russell Wilson as the quarterback. And then the 4 primetime games, plus Cincinnati and Philadelphia, and another trip out to SoFi. It's a really, really fun one. For me, I love the idea that Buffalo is going to be played in week 2 for the purposes of just how exciting that series has become. This will be the 5th straight season. Each of Mike Vrabel's 5 years, he'll be heading into his 5th season this year. But each of the last 5 years, the Titans will have played the Buffalo Bills. And certainly in the last couple of years, the game has gotten vastly more interesting. So that is the situation. That is the situation for the Tennessee Titans. Bills in week 2, Kansas City on Sunday Night Football in November, Green Bay on the road in Green Bay for a Thursday night football game, and then a late Thursday night football matchup, late in the season Thursday night matchup against the Dallas Cowboys here in Tennessee. A lot of fun games on the schedule ahead, and I'm looking forward to covering all of them for you. Denise, who has called into my radio show before, says that I told her she couldn't use the word shit on the radio. And Denise, you cannot use the word shit on the radio. Where you can use it is on the internet, which is why after 3 hours of talk radio and things that frustrate me, I know that I'm going to be able to come blow off some steam on the internet where such language is permitted. So if you were to cuss here, Denise, we would not have any objections to it whatsoever. I'm looking at this whole thing. What most intrigues you about the schedule? While we're going to get to more of your comments here in just a second, right after I remind you that Tennessee Tickets is the place that you can go with the Titans' full NFL schedule out. The only place for Titans fans to get their home or away tickets is TennesseeTickets.com. Locally owned and operated with actual customer service, unlike the national ticket companies who you can't talk to directly. You can head to TennesseeTickets.com, search Titans or the home team of any game you want to go to, or you can call them at the number on the website. The best thing about Tennessee Tickets is they have 0 hidden fees. Unlike the others, the price stays the same before and after checkout with Tennessee Tickets. We're happy to have Tennessee Tickets making great opportunities for you to get great value on your Titans tickets ahead. So what else do you like about the schedule at this point? Ending with the Cowboys says Stephen Kim Sheridan. Well, you don't end with the Cowboys. You end with the Jags. Again, I'll put the schedule up on the screen for you guys to consume. I apologize for it being stretched to fit our screen here, but I do think that you guys are able to read it for the most part. So you do have at Jacksonville, as opposed, so they've finished the last, I think, 3 seasons playing games at Houston. So Dallas is the second to last week of the season. That'll be week 17. Then week 18 is at Jacksonville, either the Saturday or Sunday, the final Saturday or Sunday of the NFL's regular season. That time has not yet been announced. But the AFC South is going to be, difficult for you to win, more difficult for you to win than it has been in previous years, right? The Colts have a improved situation at quarterback. Those games will be played early. They will be decided early, and likely the division will be decided early, just as it was last year. Now, for the Colts, it doesn't mean say you sweep the Colts again. Obviously, that didn't eliminate the Colts from the postseason last year. They very much had the opportunity to get in the playoffs outside of, shooting themselves in the foot. They imploded against the Jacksonville Jags on the road in week 18 and missed the playoffs by that function. Now, the Titans had a much more secure way throughout the rest of the schedule because they handled their business in the 2 games against the Indianapolis Colts, one in week 3 of last season, and then the second one in week 9 on Halloween, which of course did them a great favor in trying to get their hands on yet another AFC South title. Lone Star Titan says, dude, I'm feeling a clean sweep. The schedule is soft. Well, strong disagree, right? Again, let me read you some of the details on this, some of the notes of this schedule. 7 total games against playoff teams from last season, 5 division champs from last year. That includes Cincinnati, Dallas, Buffalo, Kansas City, and Green Bay. 2 of the teams that qualified for wild cards last year, the Raiders and the Eagles. 7 games against playoff clubs is down from last year's total of 8 such games the Titans had entering 2021. So it's stacked. Soft schedule is laugh out loud funny. The fact that you would see the fact that you're playing the entire AFC West on the schedule with all of the new pieces and parts, including what Justin Herbert has around him, who is now quarterbacking the Denver Broncos. Obviously, the Chiefs, who they do have a good record against, to their credit. Outside, the postseason is something different to discuss, but they have done well against the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes at quarterback. There's nothing soft about this schedule. It is a first place schedule for a reason. These teams are going to be difficult to handle. And for the Titans, right, there's a fair amount of adversity that they're facing. Leo, why is the Giants kickoff a 3:25 game? I don't know, but I'm happy for it because I have to fly back from Chicago that morning because my college roommates, I'm in the wedding. My college roommate's getting married in Chicago, so I'm going to have to fly back I was either going to have to leave Saturday night out of O'Hare or come back early Sunday, and at least now I'll have a little time to breathe and sober up before I have to schlep off to the stadium and do my pregame radio show and then, put in a 16-hour workday on week 1. But it'll be great. It'll be great. I don't understand how our strength of schedule is tied for 24th, but our schedule doesn't seem that way. Jeff, I don't really look at strength of schedule of any other place but Warren Sharp. Warren Sharp has a great resource for this, and he does well to diagnose what actually what actually makes up strength of schedule. So I'm not sure where you're getting 24th. I have not seen that. But, to do strength of schedule based on last season results, I think does a disservice to schedule analysis. In fact, it's one of the things that frustrates me the most about schedule talk is a lot of people just look at what happened last year and then by the transitive property, apply it to the next season, which of course is foolish because we've all seen how much personnel has changed in the NFL. Sam says all those teams have to fight in harder divisions, which allows for let-up games. Maybe so, let-up games against the Titans, but your division didn't get easier, it got harder. Matt Ryan playing quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts makes the division harder. Now, maybe it doesn't make it much harder because Matt Ryan is far from the peak of his powers at this stage of his career, 36 years old, right? But he's still a high-level NFL quarterback, and with proper protection, he can do some damage. Your division is easier than most, right? The AFC East is a more difficult division this year. The AFC West is probably the best division in football this year. The AFC South, obviously, where the Titans play, is still in flux. You know, Davis Mills and Trevor Lawrence, 4 games against those two as currently constructed, don't necessarily make for the hardest opponents, but it would be hard for the Jags and the Texans to be as bad this coming season as they were last season when they were 2 of the worst teams in the league. You should expect some kind of marginal improvement, even if it's not substantial. Marginal improvement, though, can still cause you problems. Not saying that the Titans aren't fully capable of sweeping the Jags and the Texans this year, but I mean, the Texans were terrible last year and the Titans couldn't sweep them, even as they did well to sweep the Jags and the Colts. Mark Jones says the Titans will get people's attention with defense and a motivated Tannehill and Derrick Henry. We're going to ball out. We'll certainly see. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Let's see. MB, I'm honestly tired of hearing how great other teams are on paper. This usually backfires, which is basically the point that I was making. Like, yes, I understand that that it's easy to look at last year's results and say, okay, based on that, the Titans are going to be facing a handful of tough opponents. It's flawed to do that way because free agency, because of the draft, because coaching changes, and all these different things that affect a team's abilities on a year-over-year basis. But you know, in the same breath, like the Titans don't look as good on paper, right? We're talking about 5 new starters, at least 5 new starters on the offensive side of the football. We're talking about a very challenging early slate, no matter how these teams end up finishing their seasons. We're talking about a very challenging early slate where you look at Buffalo on Monday Night Football, home for the Raiders, and at Indianapolis through the first month of the season. Those are 3 games that are critical to your success or your failure. And those teams are going to get the Titans at a time where it's very, very early on for this new look offense, this at least new 5 starters on offense, where there could be some room for teams like the Bills and the Colts and the Vegas Raiders to take advantage of the fact that the Titans may still be trying to figure things out on that side of the football. Caleb Gray says, I hate the fact that we're playing the Chiefs and Broncos back-to-back with both of them coming off bye weeks. You know, I think the thing for me more than anything else is that their bye is so early, right? They got a big break last year, even as the injuries were everywhere. They got a huge break last year with the fact that their bye week was as late as it was and that they played a Thursday night football game as late in the season as they did, which allowed them additional time to rest up their roster that they needed before the playoff game. And yes, the playoff game ultimately it didn't matter that they had the additional time to rest because they blew the playoff game. But still, when you're looking for anywhere you can win in the margins, to have, I think it was a week 14 bye this year, it's a week 6 bye this year. That's a really, really tough slog to go through that much of a football season without any kind of a break. Now, as you look for the places for rest, in fact, let's talk about that. William Morris says, Buck, this is going to be hell. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be hell. I just think it's going to be tougher than it has been in the last couple of years, which, by the way, you should relish. Like, if your football team is legit, if you think your football team is legit, then you should pound your chest and say, okay, bring it on. Let's see it. Let's see what they got. I don't know how legit your football team is. I got zero clue because it's going to look substantially different. I know your defense should probably be really special. But outside of that, I don't know what the Tennessee Titans are going to be in 2021, or in 2022, but I'm excited to find out. Let's talk about the lowlights of this schedule because I want to highlight some of the rest or lack thereof that they will have throughout the course of this. The question that I have for you is a simple one. What do you not like about the Titans schedule? We've talked about what you like. Let's talk about what you don't like in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. That is the question that we have for you. While you guys are discussing that amongst yourselves, I will tell you about the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans and of the Nashville Predators and of me, Gary Ashton, and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Your dream address without the stress is what the Ashton team offers to you. You can get the intel edge to maximize your value when you're selling your home in this very, very favorable seller's market. And Gary and his team will get you the intel edge so that you are not spending a lot of time looking for your next home while you're trying to sell your current one. GaryAshton.com is where you go for the best in the business. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. So, what don't you like about the Titans schedule at this point? There's a lot there that I think to dissect. Donovan says he doesn't like the 2 primetime games being on Amazon Prime, right? So this is kind of the thing. This is kind of the thing that I think needs to be brought up, right? You are getting 4 nationally, let's not say nationally televised games because they're not nationally televised games. 4 games that are being nationally broadcast, but only 2 are going to be available to you on conventional television, right? The 2 Thursday night games against the Packers and against the Cowboys are on Amazon Prime. Now, it's kind of what I was alluding to when I said the Titans are probably going to have 2 nationally televised games, 3 probably at the most. And not to justify my own opinion as being right, but this does make it so, right? 2 nationally televised games, 2 games that are on streaming services. Most people have, well, actually, I can't speak to that exactly. I don't know that most people have Amazon. I have Amazon Prime, right? So I'm not, it doesn't matter for me. I'm going to be at Green Bay and I'm going to be at Nissan Stadium for the Dallas game. So at that point, you're going to, it doesn't matter for me, but for you, many of you have Amazon Prime, many of you have Prime Video. And I would venture to say that most of you guys, maybe not most of the country, but most of you guys probably have the NFL Network as a part of your television package, or, whether you're getting it on YouTube TV or however you're streaming these things, right? So not ideal. And not all of the Prime Video games are going to be on NFL Network. That was the case with Fox, right? Where not all of the Prime Video games were streamed or were also broadcast on the NFL Network at the same time. Sometimes Fox and the NFL Network had dual broadcasts, right? For those people who did not get the NFL Network, but as the season wore on, you started to see more games exclusively on the NFL Network, and that's kind of what Prime is going to be doing now. Patrick Seckman says he has Amazon Prime and he likes it. Well, listen, the best way for Amazon Prime to drive up subscriptions is to get NFL games. And that's exactly what they've done, right? People want football. Where can you go for football? Oh, Amazon Prime has football. I'll sign up for Amazon Prime. It's all a part of the business model. But the thing that I like least about this particular schedule is, if I was a Titans fan, the thing that I would like least if I was a Titans fan, or just kind of looking at this from the perspective of the football team, is the early bye and then how the rest plays out over the remainder of the schedule. So just kind of to tell you what I mean by that, you've got you're playing a first place schedule for obvious reasons. You're looking at this in a way where for the primetime record, they've done really well, varying kickoff days and times that will make this a pretty unique schedule. And they do have some obvious weeks with long rest because there's 2 Thursday night football games, which will allow them additional rest. It's how I think they're justifying such an early bye, because there's a pair of Thursday night football games in addition to the bye. So there will be 3 games in which the Titans have a long rest period between games. You've got the Indianapolis Colts coming off a bye. You've got the Cincinnati Bengals coming off of Thursday night football. And then in week 18, they'll have additional time to prepare for the Jacksonville Jags to close out their season after playing the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night. Titans are 4-0 coming off a bye under Mike Vrabel. They're 4-0 following Thursday night football games. They're 8-0 during the regular season. So those are favorable numbers, obviously, with Mike Vrabel's team having additional time to prepare. Now, what that does not include is additional time. They had a bye week after the playoffs, and of course they lost the playoffs, so that does not account for Mike Vrabel's playoff record. But there's going to be the rest. It's just the bye comes very, very early on. Manny, see, because you guys are doing record predictions, I bet Austin and Zach will do record predictions in the morning. To be honest with you, and listen, that's cool if you want to do record predictions. Like, That's a lot of fun for sports fans to be able to look at their schedule and be like, oh, that's a win, that's a loss, that's a win. Oh, we're going to win our division right here. This is the most important stretch. I don't do record predictions. I think it's a waste of time. Doesn't mean you shouldn't. Doesn't mean I think I'm telling you that you shouldn't. You should enjoy the things about sports that you want to enjoy. But if you're looking for record predictions out of me, if you're looking for season predictions out of me, I'm never going to do it. You know, I'm just never going to do it because I find it to be a very, very useless exercise, other than the fact that people, enjoy it from time to time. But we can find other enjoyable ways to talk about the schedule itself. Speaking of enjoyable things, revenge games in football are things that people enjoy. I think that we should discuss what is the most prominent game on the potential Titans revenge tour. The question that I have for you is this: which revenge game of the three that we're going to give you, which revenge game is the most appealing to you? Playing the Jets again. Well, no, the Jets aren't a part of this. It's the Bengals or the Eagles. The Bengals or the Eagles, which game are you most looking forward to getting another crack at their opponent? The Jets are not on the schedule. That was a mistype by me. Bengals or Eagles? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We will discuss at length together right after I tell you about our friends at Buddy Allen Carpet One, a full-service flooring company. Is Buddy Allen Carpet One. And by the way, Buddy Allen Carpet One is going to be around a lot of our Titans coverage this year. I was just doing my radio show out at the golf tournament that they host each year for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, a great cause by a great company. Buddy Allen Carpet One, your full-service flooring operation, 2405 Lebanon Pike in Donaldson, or online at BuddyAllenCarpet1.com. So, which revenge game are you looking forward to the most? You got the Bengals, who knocked you out of the playoffs, and the Eagles, who, of course, have A.J. Brown. For Stephen King, he says, Eagles, birds aren't real. Ed wants another crack at the Bengals. Dadson Worldwide on YouTube agrees. Bengals, Eagles are out of our conference. True, but I think that's as much about pride as it is anything. Let's see. I'm going to the Bengals game, says B. French. My stomach hurts just saying that. Yeah, there's probably a little PTSD associated with that. The Bengals game means more for your playoffs and for, just tiebreakers and things of that nature, given that it's an AFC opponent. But damned if I'm not looking forward to that, to being in Philadelphia and hopefully A.J. Brown being on the field, because there's going to be not a lot of love lost in the city of brotherly love this year.
Did you request a trade from Tennessee? And if so, can you help explain why?
I'm going to try not to get into all that, but, I'm not going to look backwards, moving forward. And, like I said, I'm excited.
Fans in Philadelphia going to learn about you?
My passion for the game, my passion to win. That's all I care about is winning, I'm not a big regular season guy. I want to win it. I want to win it all, and that's my expectations coming into this building. I'm not trying to put expectations on the team, but I want to win. I haven't won anything since I was in high school, so I know this is a great team, great organization that can get it done.
The A.J. Brown game is going to be a lot of fun, provided that he plays. We will see what takes place, because that is later in the season. Again, let me throw the schedule up on the screen for you guys. They will be at Philadelphia in the first week of December there, a noon Central Time kickoff on Fox, which will be great fun. So I'm personally looking forward to that. I think the environment in Philly will be great. He's obviously a star player, and he's going to want to take it to the Titans. If, we will see how things go for both teams, because that will be late in the year, and so we'll probably know a great deal about both of those teams prior to that matchup taking place. It may matter for nothing more than pride, but I think that there's a lot of pride that will make that game a great time. That is going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show for the week. We greatly appreciate you guys spending some time here with us Sunday through Thursday night. Radio show tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. We've got Coach Dave McGinnis on at 11:20 Central Time. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio, their executive producer, is going to preview rookie minicamp with me at 12:20. Make sure you're hanging out with us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And, of course, I'll be at rookie minicamp tomorrow afternoon, and I'll tape a 615 Sessions podcast live from the facility for you. We will see you tomorrow. We will talk to you then. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great weekend. And if I don't catch you on the radio, I will see you Sunday night on A to Z